Hi guys, hey, it's Jeff and John TM. Today I want to talk about something that, maybe you're like me. A couple years ago, I had been here a few times, and I decided I wanted to come back and try it for a longer term, not just on a weekly basis. And it's one thing when you come here for a week or two, or maybe even 3 weeks, but once you decide to come here for a month or more, you need to do something different because probably staying at a hotel is not, it's expensive and it's probably not what you want to do. To really get a taste for a place, you've got to live in maybe a condo or rent a house, something like that. And renting property in Thailand, at least in my experience, has been a very different experience than renting it when I remember doing that in America. So I just thought I'd come up with a few ideas here to help you in case you're starting to think about staying here for longer term. Now, the first thing, when you have to understand Thai law, and Thai law says that in order to rent a condo in a residential building, you have to stay for 30 days. That's the law. And most buildings are enforcing that, and you see that as a sign when you walk in the door. Usually there's big postings on the condo downstairs common areas that says, hey, this is a residential building, it's not a hotel. Now the reason that's there is, it's law, but two, the condominium does not have a hotel license. And in order to rent nightly or less than for a month, they have to have a license to do that. Now, since most condominiums, and there may be exceptions, don't have a hotel license, you're going to have to rent for 1 month. And when that 1 month period, you're going to have to figure out how to do that when you're, it's not as easy as a hotel, right? So you might do like I did the first time. I rented for a month and I went through Airbnb. Now Airbnb is a good option. There's VRBO and there's probably some other systems, but those are probably the two most common. The advantage of those systems is they give you some security, and that security comes in the fact that the people that are renting to you are people that have been vetted to some degree. The facility, the actual owner of the building or the condo is going to be involved, and there's going to be some, Airbnb checks people out a little bit to make sure they're okay. Well, if you go through something like maybe Facebook Marketplace, you don't know who actually owns the condo or the building. And you may end up in a situation where you have a person who's advertising that's seen it someplace else or on Facebook Marketplace themselves, and they're going to call the owner and act as an agent and say, hey, I've got a guy who wants to rent your condo for a month or 2 months or 6 months. And in order to do that, they're going to pretend like they're an actual agent. Now, one of the things that you're going to find in Thailand, whether you're buying or renting a condo, is that the agents are not licensed. It's not like in the US where you have some training, where you have some companies that are set up just specifically to manage and rent or sell condominiums or houses. And there's no formal licensing other than if it's a business, it's probably been licensed as a business to do that. But the people themselves may or may not be licensed, and they're probably not licensed. So you have to watch it, and you have to be careful. I have read several stories and talked to a couple people who have had money taken from them when they rented from somebody who actually didn't own the building, but they were able to get in and show the building by saying they were an agent. And then when they got the deposit, they didn't forward it on to the owner, and the people were taken advantage of. So be very careful about who you give your money to. Other thing that you want to make sure you do is if you're going to use an agent, you want to make sure that agent is working for the business that they say they are. Now, when I rented my condo for 6 months here, I used one of the biggest agencies in town. And by doing that, I knew that they were going to be legit, but I also met him at his business location to start with, so that I knew that he was a legitimate person with that agency. I know since then I've done business with him again, and I've done business with that agency again. And by doing that, I know that they're a legit business. So check it out. It's something that you've got to spend a little bit of time doing some due diligence. Make sure that who you are giving money to is who they say they are, and they have a legitimate contract with the owner of the property. Now, I've had a couple of experiences. Both were okay, but they weren't good. One was I rented a condo in a fairly new building, and that condo was through what appeared to be a company that was Chinese people. And what you find in especially these newer buildings, many Chinese people have come and bought multiple condos in the building. They get together and have a consortium sort of thing, and then they have a property manager that may or may not live in Thailand, and that manager is renting them out, and they've got some local representation to help them do that. Well, in the case where I stayed in that condo for a month, the representation was okay. The agent was probably legitimate in China, but here they had a local person helping them, to transfer the keys, transfer the money, do everything that they were doing, and they weren't really that with it. We had several problems, and each time I had to wait for somebody in China to come back and talk to them in order to get a hold of them. That wasn't all that easy, but I got through it. The other situation I had was a month rental, another building, same type of situation, but I thought I was talking to the owner, and it ended up being a person who was just representing a lot of different owners. And what she was doing was she was finding people on Facebook Marketplace, then she'd combine the ads and have these really nice, good, well-written ads that maybe the Thai people that actually owned the condo didn't know how to write very well in English, and this way it sounded very good. She was from Europe. She was legitimate, but I found out very quickly that she was marking the price up pretty well and that it wasn't the best deal. And in her case, she did get back to me. There was a couple of issues in the 2 months that I rented that one, and she was good about it, but she didn't have any power because she wasn't really working very well with the owners, and the owners were Thai, and they didn't understand her probably. I understand that. But we got through it. Neither case cost me that much money, but it was just the idea that you need to know who you're working with. Now, in my last case where I rented for 6 months, that worked out really well. The owner and I negotiated through the agency, and the agency was able to get me a deal. I rented during low season, and low season, the advantage of that is that people are more likely to take less than what maybe a similar condo would be during high season. High season in Thailand is November through about the end of March. Can vary a little bit, but for the most part, you see a lot of people coming here in November and December and leaving sometime February, March, April maybe. And because of that, the prices go up. Now, I rented that 6-month condo in September, which means that the condo is actually coming up this week as the final time, and I'll be checking out of that. Now, there was 2 things I did there. One, I negotiated with him. I found out what his year lease price was and said, I can only do 6 months. I'm looking for a place to buy. And based on that 6 months, I would be happy to pay you the year price monthly for 6 months, and I paid the full amount in advance. He agreed to that because getting the money up front to him had some value, and we came up to that arrangement. I was able to get it for probably 25% less than what other condos in that building I'd rented on a monthly basis, which was good. And then when it came to the deposit, it was a 2-month deposit, which is maybe a little bit different. We think on a year lease sometimes, at least in the past when I've rented things, first and last month. And in this case, a 2-month deposit up front meant that he's the owner and I've been working together to get the utility bills, because you will be responsible in most all rentals to pay for water and electricity and probably the internet, maybe cable if they have cable. But by doing that, now he's taking that money out of the rent deposit and using that, and we're keeping track of it. Every month he sends me statements for the cable, the water, and the electricity. And that's worked out really well. So I think having that relationship with the owner, even if you use an agent, it's nice to know the owner so you can go back and forth. I've had several little things in that condo that need to be fixed. And he's agreed to fix them, or he's asked me to go ahead and get them fixed, and I've done that. And it's been great. I think the experience you have is, one, always you have to be flexible in what you're doing. And two, you've got to know what you're doing, because if you're trying to do something that's pushing, let's say you're trying to do less than a month rent, there are places like in that one big building here in Gentium that maybe Chinese people will let you rent for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but they'll make you sign a month-long contract. So if they get in trouble, they can say, oh, the guy left, and you just got to be careful. Buyer beware is what I would say, and be flexible with people that you find. I think most people are willing to negotiate. Most people are willing to work with you. So it's just really important to, like always, just treat people like you'd want to be treated, and then also to be knowledgeable enough to not be asking or doing crazy things. Renting a condo in Gentium or any place in Thailand is a great experience, and I think you'll enjoy it. I hope you enjoy your time here. It's a great way to get to know if you want to buy a place, is to rent a place and maybe stay around different areas and figure out where it is that you really want to live. I want you to keep flexible. I want you to enjoy either your retirement or your time spent here working and playing. And more than anything, take care of yourself. Be well. I'm Jeff and John T.M.
Packing bags with all my dreams. Wi-Fi strong, it never seems to matter where the road will bend. This adventure never ends. Flex nomad life, here we go. Round the world like a pro. City lights or mountain breeze. Living free as we please. Creating content on the fly. No more office ties that bind. Cafes, beaches, and